Oh, I had hoped to learn a lot during this internship. I was really hoping to learn from all of the coaches and the staff that I came into contact with, and so far I have. I'm trying to learn new coaching techniques and new skills that I can put into my toolbox and take back to the high school that I'm working at when we go through there. I have had to learn almost a complete set of nomenclature. A lot of the things that I call exercises are not what they are called at SIU. And the first week or so, it made me stumble sometimes when I would see on the sheet that we were doing A, B, or C. And in my nomenclature, it would have been D and F. Um, I'm learning a lot about block progressions as a form of programming. We go through block setups. We work the full body in every session. Um, I've had to learn how to interact with a very high skill level of athlete. There are still things that those athletes can be helped with. I've helped several, and for the most part, they've been very receptive of that help. Where we're going through, I'm really enjoying the vibe at SIU. I mean, the students, athletes are there to work every day. They work their tails off. There's very little coaching to coach them up for effort. The effort is there. They're at a very high level, and that's been an excellent part of this for me. And I'm looking to maybe see Mead Smith as a mentor here, learning a lot about how to program or certain aspects of programming that maybe will be a little different for me from here on out when we go through. Um, they use a lot of the Joe Ken material, and that's kind of the stuff that I've been learning. And I think my programming will go towards that arena, towards the whole body, like the Joe Ken workout. Trained every day for the 3 days a week, which we already do lift 3 days a week, and we do the other plyometrics, and then a movement day. One of the main proficiencies that I've got a lot of help in developing was my warm-ups. I thought my warm-ups were pretty good, but it turns out after Coach went through them with me, he showed me how they were a little bit scattershot, how I wasn't building my warm-ups from the very basic and then ending them with the most technical aspect that we were going through there. So I've learned how to better set up uh, my programming when we went there. Um, the proficiencies, we've gone through all of the proficiencies, completing the Olympic weightlifting, the bench press, the squat, the clean. Um, all of that's been finished. Worked on the speed proficiency when we went there, plyometrics. Um, as far as Typhon goes, I've learned how to scan in my internship log when we've gone through there. I initially made the mistake. I thought that I was supposed to enter my proficiency sheets too. There was a space there where you could actually do it. So I put in my first few of those there, which I later found out was a mistake when I went through. And my biggest surprise that I've had so far is how different the nomenclature is. That's really been my biggest surprise, if there's been a surprise. There haven't been too many real challenges. Everything's efficiently run. Coaches have everything set up. Myself and the GA, we usually set up the weightlifting before we go. We get all of the racks and everything set up for what they're going to do and get that done before the kids come in. Then we go out to warm ups. come back in from the warm-ups, and the floor is all set up for the kids to come in and just jump right into working, and that's what they do. They just jump right in and start working their tails off. Really, there hasn't really been a critical moment um, during this 8 weeks, but initial challenge was, when should I input myself? When should I put myself into the athletes' workouts? When should I start cueing? When should I start giving advice as far as to how the lift may be performed better? I didn't really know in the beginning, and I was a little, I would say, standoffish. I was trying to take in everything, and we were working a drill during the warm-ups, and Coach Smith just finally said, "Hey, you got these lines right here, coach them up." And that was my cue. That was my cue. Hey, it's time to earn your keep around here. Um, that was really my biggest challenge. And since that's happened, I've become a lot more comfortable on the floor, and also during the warm-ups. Heck, I just coach like I've always coached. Um, I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of experience in coaching, and a lot of it's in football. So that's kind of was my biggest challenge, and that's how I overcame it. Just with coach just telling me, "Hey, coach them up." And it's been going well since then. He gives me advice periodically when I need it, when we're going through, or if I have any questions. Not only has Coach Smith been that way toward me, but Coach Zimmerman and Coach Oyen have all been very helpful in this. I've really enjoyed where I'm going so far. And in the next 8 weeks, I will be working directly under Coach Zach Zimmerman, and he will be working with women's volleyball and women's basketball. I've already started helping him with women's basketball, as they came in a couple of weeks ago, and they work out when football is out during warmups. So Coach Smith has told me to stay with Coach Zimmerman during those warmups and coach the girls, coach the women. So I feel like the next 8 weeks are going to be excellent too. As far as theory to practice goes, athlete monitoring and assessing their movements and their movement patterns are one of the skills that I use on a daily basis. Um, from my USA weightlifting certification is where I've been able to help several of the athletes improve in their clean and in their snatch. That's been very helpful to me. Um, and understanding certain aspects of the warm up. And what I mean by that is like when I first looked at the warm up that we were doing, I was only looking at it, the movements, as a warm up to the weightlifting. But the more I actually watched it and broke it down, the movements that are being done in warm up uh, are direct are used directly on the field in playing. And I gave an example of the plant and brake mechanics during a separation drill. Well, just the acceleration and the braking part of it I was looking at that as a warm up thing. But then when you watch the footwork, it goes from there. And we started at the very beginning doing takeoff drills, or like if you were taking off from a sprint, the first 3 steps, the different shin angles, the lower shin angles, keeping the eyes down, keeping yourself low before you get up. And that's been worked through the entire warm up until, like, today we were testing our flying tens. So that's really been very helpful to me. And we studied movement patterns and different postures, and posture plays a very important role at SIU. Coach Mead is really a stickler on the athletes keeping good posture while they're running, good posture while they're lifting, good posture while they're walking around. Um, it's been interesting to see and then think about how that posture does affect both lifting, running, and other mechanisms of movement. It's been very interesting for me. Oh, one of the great insights that I've gained is how different CSCSs go about programming differently inside of the same umbrella of the program. Coach Smith gives his coaches the freedom to work their individual programs the way that they see fit within certain limits. Where they go, they have to be effective and they have to be efficient, and those are two of the big things that they look for. But each of the three CSCSs that I've worked with really have different outlooks on how they did it, and a lot of it goes back to their mentor and how their mentor um, believed the beliefs of their mentor and how they those mentors worked their programming. It's very interesting to see and to see how effective it is. You know, we've gone through some testing in some areas with both women's basketball and football, and to see the improvement over these 8 weeks has really been informative and really been uh, something to watch, something to observe. I've seen it in the high school, like I said, for a long time, but collegiately, how far these kids have come in those 8 weeks is truly something to see. I mean, this programming has impacted them and it will help them during this season, which I knew that it would, but just seeing like today we tested squats, just seeing how much improvement there's been over 8 weeks. You know, some of these kids have put on 40 pounds of weight on their squats. Um, it's been very impactful for me. It's probably going to change the way that I program and the way that I look at things. Now, I know that my athletes aren't the same caliber, the majority of them aren't the same caliber as these college kids are, but still, seeing how they've been impacted through this type of block programming really is making me rethink a lot of my programming decisions. It's been very, very good 8 weeks for me, very good. I would really like to thank my host school, SIU, which is also my alma mater, Coach Smith, Coach Zimmerman, Coach Oyen. They've been so very helpful and so willing to share and so willing to guide me through some what could be thought of as missteps, or not so much missteps, but as how to work at this new level, uh, which is different from where I come from. And some of the things that I was thinking and some of the regressions that I had in mind, the kids don't need to be regressed. But when I'm thinking it through them and I'm asking the questions about these things, I've been helped, I really think, a great deal. So I'd like to thank those people for helping me out. They really made a difference in my life so far, and hopefully in my career as a coach. Hopefully, I will be a much improved coach when I get back to the high school um, this summer.